HR and AI. So you've been around a lot of HR professionals. You're in the military. I'm sure you've seen technology and AI technology a lot sooner than a lot of us have. So do you think that AI is going to take over the world from from a human perspective?
I'm not the expert on this, to be very, very clear. I think that it's not going to take over the world. It's not going to replace us in HR. It's not going to replace us as speakers in the military or anywhere. But the people who don't adopt it, who don't embrace it, will be left behind.
Yeah.
That is my thinking. And I use it in my work almost daily.
Yeah.
I use it to generate ideas. I use it to kick my drafts into shape. I use it to brainstorm.
Nice.
Actually. But I don't think it's going to take over the world. But again, I'm not a tech guy, so this is my humble, very modest opinion.
Are you still in the military?
No.
Ah, okay. So I was going to ask, I was like, so...
And
how is the military adopting it?
Sure.
Yeah.
So honestly, I went through the Swiss system, or I'm Swiss, so I went back as a hired gun basically for a year, almost like a contractor, as a peacekeeper. And I came back 3 years ago, and nobody really talked about AI, in the general public 3 years ago. So I can't really answer that question, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I have a different question. Tell me what you think. And actually, just from a military perspective, hopefully we don't get canceled. Hopefully I don't disappear in the next 24 hours. So you know how like right now our biggest concern is security and making sure that AI doesn't go rogue. Right? Because they're always talking about this singularity moment, right? Or because that's where AGI comes from, not AI. And then, of course, if we dumb it down, machine learning and language learning models. So do you think the military has control protocols in place to guarantee that the AI cannot reach sentientness or consciousness or the singularity?
So a super hypothetical question, but it's very easy to answer.
Yeah.
Do I think that they can guarantee? Absolutely no.
Oh.
Nobody can.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, that's do they work on it? Sure.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. All right, you're up.
Yeah, right.
All right, yeah, we're good.
I thought we were talking about leadership and my ship, and I would say
No, it's all good.
Okay, no, we can talk about
No, that's great.
But I think I could plant some seeds I think you could build on, right? You want me to answer the exact same question?
Absolutely.
In the world?
Yes.
So I think, and I'll mention some of this in my talk, right? I think as the world becomes more digitized, it gives us the opportunity to be more human.
Yeah.
Right? And
really?
I think,
more digitized, become more human?
Yeah.
Really?
It gives us an opportunity. Doesn't mean it becomes a reality.
I'm so excited. Right? So my next question to you, I'm gonna foreshadow. Prop you up.
Yeah.
Elon Musk's Neuralink.
Yeah.
All right. I'll keep going with this whole
so
more
I think
human.
I think as technology has progressed, it's become an extension of the human condition, right?
Sure.
And so like when we think about either transportation or even how we got here to this conference, right? All three of us come from completely different places. Right? And so our ability to have these human experiences today, imagine us having this conference, 60 years ago, 70 years ago.
But you're giving credit to AI that you should give credit to the internet.
I'm giving credit to just
the telephone system.
But if you think about what AI is today, it's built on the foundation of all those things.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's just the next gen, right?
Yeah, AI became the most culturally relevant term in 2023, but it's been something that's been in the works for like several decades.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so if you've seen just the progress of Moore's Law, for example, Moore's Law basically is our ability to create technology that's 10 times more powerful, but also 10 times more cheaper. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's why we have a supercomputer in our pocket, and we're able to get 2 cameras right now on us. That's true. And with these mics, right? And then you're able to stream it in a matter of a few minutes, right? To the rest of the world. Yeah. And like what? And it's our ability to engage in these conversations and raise awareness and empathy and all sorts of stuff is greater. However, with that same tool, you could create misinformation, you could create disengagement, you could create also some more concerns or what have you. That's that's accurate. However, I think when you come to conferences, when you come to conferences like this, I think one of the questions I remember receiving a few years ago was, Eric, how do you find answers in this world that has so many large questions, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's the work, right? The work that we get to do in these conferences or with partners or with authors and thought leaders or CEOs is to find that gap, right? If we had all the answers to all the questions, then what the heck are we doing here?
So you mentioned CEOs and thought leaders, right? So let's go back to CEOs.
Yeah.
How do you think they will deal with that?
Yeah, I think our ability to access these tools is becoming cheaper with time, right? I mean, technology is here to democratize tools, right? And so like right now, when we were just on listening to a previous speaker earlier, and they said, hey, Google this.
Yeah.
Google this. Like, so there's no address for me to go and visit the website? No, just Google it.
Yeah.
I could do it from my phone. I could do it from my computer. I could do that from a car.
Yeah.
Like right? I could get that information, right? So our ability to access these tools is becoming more democratized.
Wow.
And so I believe then the question is, we're about to get 1 billion other people on the internet in the next, by 2030. So imagine what they're able to do, right? With the democratized tools at their disposal. Can they form businesses? Can they solve problems in a different way?
It's just kind of like him. He's using it on a daily, just any kind of ideas, anything. Just he's using it as a real additional tool to the way you think, the way you want to think, and the direction of thoughts.
Absolutely. And to do the work that he cares about, right? I mean, all those tools that he was able to do brought him now to the stage today and gave us a wonderful 60-minute conversation and presentation that we all left inspired.
Yeah.
But it was because of the tools he decided to use, the questions he decided to ask, to push his thoughts forward and really start thinking it through, say, hey, this is how I want to go and crystallize this message for my audiences. And guess what? The presentation we'll see next week that Urs is going to do is going to be a little bit different than the presentation today because of what he learned from the audience and the experiences, right? And so I think that's where these tools could come in to play and be very thoughtful.
Yeah. And one piece, which I know has been said before, but is so dear to my heart, is that, as AI is becoming more important and technology is more widely adopted, and you both know much more about AI than I do, the even more important the human connection becomes. And so you've heard this before, right? We're not the smartest anymore. The supercomputers can do it. So you can replace analysts, but the human connection, the leading relationally, that in the foreseeable future, as far as I can tell at least, is not going to happen through AI. And so that's where our competitive advantage lies as leaders. That bringing people together. It's also, we can tie into the return back onto the office policy. If I'm thoughtful about the leader, if I order my people back, why? To create connection, to do work that we couldn't do on our own. And so I think that's an important thing for me to think about.
So it wasn't because they're stuck in a lease contract that they just need to utilize. But I'm just going to be so cynical here.
No, but that's great. So part of my job they used to do. So before I get to that, let me just add on to real quick what Urs is saying. The human connection is actually wonderful. You highlighted that. The way I've worded it also is that the human experience is now the premium experience. Yeah. Right? And so it becomes now a premium experience for us to come together, the three of us, right?
Yeah.
And so we use technology to find each other. You learned a little bit about each other. And that's what makes this moment much richer.
That's really well said. I love that. That's really well said. Yeah,
I'm glad you had that mic. They would have been like golden. Yeah. They're like, wee.
Yeah. And so, like, for example, I was talking to the Arizona Presenters Alliance, right? They're in charge of the theaters and also stuff, the performing arts.
Nice.
Right. And so they were concerned, rightfully so. They're like, Eric, like, what does this world look like in this world of AI that we're going into? And I'm like, no, your experience is now even much more rewarding, right? My ability to go to a theater with my son or with my daughter, with my family today, if I'm just overwhelmed in this digital world and I'm going to see a human experience in front of me for the next 90 minutes, that is something like that. Those are moments that are unforgettable. I could take all the pictures in the world of that and all that sort of stuff, but no one's going to take that memory that I have of that sharing that moment with my child.
Concerts for the last 5-6 years have they require you to seal up your phones and then check them in.
That's a wonderful.
Yeah. So 3 years ago, I went to Madonna's concert in Brooklyn.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and apparently it was her last tour. Haha, she lied. And we ended up everybody who walked into the theater had to take a Ziploc bag, and it's ID numbered and it's scanned. So AI, they're using scanners, they're using technology, but they're sealing it up, locking it with a key, and you weren't allowed to see anything. And you really had to experience.
Because the counter to that is what? I'm watching Madonna I'm trying to watch Madonna, but I'm trying to look through 100 phones in front of me.
Yes.
Right? And then you just turn to the experience, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd rather just be there present, be there with that person, with that artist.
Yep.
But also in the music industry, you're also seeing today, just the notion of them releasing an album, right? For them to release an album was months in the works, years in the work, and they had to get the marketing. Now it's singles.
Yeah.
It's singles there. It's singles there. Hey, the Drake.
It was
super fast. And guess what? I'm presenting that at my concert next week.
All right. Let me flip the script on you, sir.
Okay, go.
The opposite is, what about the way AI is being misused?
Yeah.
That's a harder issue to deal with and to tackle. I mean, if we want to talk about government, regulations, governance, and executives, CEOs, big corporations, big investors, they don't want to do it. I mean, look, we just heard that Sam Altman dissolved the nonprofit business and he got rid of the board of directors.
That's correct.
What the hell? And we find out two major things. One, billions of money got transferred over to him in stocks and in ownership, right? Which was 100%. And the second thing is, though, he now becomes exclusive CEO controller of the organization. What the hell? So was Musk wrong when he had his feud early on with Sam Altman?
Yeah. So
and OpenAI?
No,
because if you want to talk about human experience and you want to talk about leadership and ethical leadership, right? Talk about someone who faked it publicly and was doing all this crazy stuff behind the scenes. And now, honestly, my own personal theory, and I've heard this now 2 or 3 times talking now, so I'm reinforcing my theory. The board found out what he was doing. They tried to oust him before he tried to convert the company and tried to, what do you call it, hostile takeovers. Mm-hmm. And then his public persona confused people and confused employees. And they're like, oh my God, how could you do this to the greatest guy in the world? And the board's like, you don't know the whole story. And then when all those employees, those 50, 60 employees, picked up and almost tried to quit.
So when we talk about step functions of change, so let me step back, actually. Sterling Hawkins, a friend of ours, author of the book Hunting for Discomfort, he has this really interesting quote that I always quote him on my talks. It says, the slowest rate of change you'll ever feel is today. Right? That is mostly thanks to the foundational building blocks of technology, right? And so when you're building technology and solutions and use cases, you're building them now at step functions and exponential functions than what they were just a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
So when I talk to a college student today as a freshman and they're like, this is what I want to do in 4 years. I'm like, you have no idea what the market's going to look like in 4 years. But hey, directionally, maybe there's something there. Awesome. If you're a company creating a 5-year plan, good luck with that. If you know exactly in the next 60 months, where you're going to be building out, right? And so you could just imagine the companies that built in 2019 a 5-year plan. Where are they today, right? Like how different this world is, correct, right? It doesn't mean that it's wrong to create a 5-year plan. It doesn't mean that it's incorrect to lead an organization, but you do have to prepare for uncertainty.
Yeah.
And so how you navigate for uncertainty, how you create leadership and these type of cultures to lean into these uncertainties, to fail successfully, right? Like our friend Urs is always teaching us, right? I think those are some of those muscles that we need to start building. And so I think when you look at organizations like OpenAI, what Elon is doing today, yes, we could look at it from the perspective of, hey, you know what, they're probably lying. Okay. Or you could also look at it like, I don't think they knew what the reality was going to look like in 4 or 5 years. I don't think they anticipated that 2023 was
visionaries like that.
Well, Uber was testing self-driving cars for years,
true.
right? We were talking about 2015. They had an accident in Phoenix. They killed someone in Phoenix. They got rid of all the self-driving testing in Arizona area.
But now what's that company?
Waymo's there.
Waymo.
However,
that's Google, right?
Correct.
That's Google.
However, how many people die in car accidents every single day, and we just normalized it every single day? But you have this technology that could absolutely start changing the way we transport today. It doesn't mean that does not mean that, right?
Yeah.
Or how we used to run refineries 40 years ago and say, you know what? Only 5 people died this year.
Yeah.
That's less than last year.
Yeah.
Right? But we've normalized that, right? And so the question is like, how do you start building organizations that are used to, or now they're used to, that could adapt to this change, could adapt to these changing environments? How are we informing our leaders? How are we engaging, right, in these conversations? So that was the seed I wanted to plant for you, Urs.
Yeah. That's a big seed.
Go ahead.
Good luck.
I am not able to speak with any sort of intelligence on the specific issue with Elon and use case and whatnot. But I come back to, what is then required from leadership?
Yeah.
Right. What's required from leadership if we want to thrive in a world like that? And I do like to go back to first principles actually. So that means I need to build teams that have deep content expertise, and I need to empower them to do the job they're hired to do versus feeling the need to be the heroic leader who knows everything and has all the answers and everything. Yeah. And by the way, everything has to go through you, and you're a CEO, you slow everything down. Not that you do that. If you have everything go through you, slow everything down. So what we need to do is we need to, have a vision. To your point, we don't know what's happening in 3 years. Forget the strategic plan for 5 years. It's bullshit. I said that on camera. So, but directionally, have a vision, and then have shorter term. Our people still want. They still want milestones. Yeah. We can do that. Yeah. We can do sprints. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days maybe. Yeah. But yeah, the notion that we need to rely more than ever on our teammates, and we need to empower them and make it safe for them to make mistakes, in a relatively contained environment. So that's it. I think what's required in all this from leadership.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
And if I could just add one more thing, we're creating more accessibility, right, in the future. And so the question is how we bring individuals to these organizations matters too, right? Exactly. And so if we're talking about, Urs was doing this great job today, he's leaving to another company. All right, Eric, can you come in there and replace him? It's like, yeah, I can, but I can't do exactly the same work that he was doing, right? And so this notion of, and I'll talk about this in my talk today, right? There's a difference now between your job and your work, right? We've been so enamored with like, this is a job title. This is great on LinkedIn. It looks wonderful. And this is no, there's something deeper to that, right? And so everyone, I think, and as we become more digitized, become more human, we have an opportunity to bring more our work to life. And that's what gets me really excited about the future.
Oh man, thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure. I love. Thank you, guys. Thank you for doing this.